What do you think was your worst experience while locked up?
It was heavy, man. I had to sit in front of a clock and look at 6 years elapse off that shit.
From his gritty beginnings in New Orleans to his explosive rise under Master PS, No Limit Records.
I have to participate in sex offender groups and stuff like that twice a month. You know, it don't stop your life, man.
Mystikal's raw talent and unmistakable voice carved a permanent lane in rap history.
Woman claims she was robbed and held against her will by a man whose fame did not provide him any favors. Tonight, Mystikal sits in the Ascension jail accused of charges that could put him away for life if he's convicted.
His aggressive delivery, wild energy, street-rooted style made him stand out in an era packed with heavy hitters, and for a moment, it felt like nothing could slow him down. Did.
He didn't show the victim any sympathy, and he doesn't get any sympathy or special treatment. So he will be in general population or will be incarcerated just like anyone else.
But behind the success, Mystikal's journey was never clean or easy. His career became tangled with legal problems that didn't just follow him. They shaped his story in a dark way. This is the tragic fate of Mystikal, a tale of fame, trauma, and disturbing allegations that forever changed his path.
51-year-old Michael Tyler, also known as Mystikal, was arrested on multiple charges, including first-degree and domestic abuse battery. Detectives interviewed a victim at a hospital who sustained injuries. The investigation led to Tyler being identified as a suspect.
Born Michael Lawrence Tyler, Mystikal grew up in the heart of New Orleans, Louisiana, surrounded by culture, chaos, and constant pressure that tested him from a young age. Before the music industry ever opened its doors, Mystikal tried to redirect his life by joining the United States Army.
That definitely was my worst effort, because I'll just say that. I mean, it was a good album. I said it was my worst effort because I had to rush it. You know, P had a pace, man. P had a pace. He was like a Ford dealership. He was producing them up cars. He was putting them out.
The lawyer of Michael Tyler, aka Mystikal, asked Judge Ramona Emanuel to recuse herself from the case because she previously denied to lower his bond, and she agreed to step down, and Judge Brady O'Callahan will now oversee the case.
Raised in the rough parts of the Crescent City, he felt boxed in and restless, searching for structure and stability. As a combat engineer, he later explained his mindset, saying he wanted to do something productive because he was tired of school. He felt stuck, revealing in an interview that he joined the military hoping to go get me a BMW or something and change his circumstances. Then tragedy struck hard. In 1994, Mystikal's sister Michelle Tyler lost her life in a violent incident that shook his entire family to the core.
2000, yep, right before. I did not leave No Limit. Let's set the record straight. No Limit left me, man. I showed up for work and looked around there, boxes and shit. They ain't here no more. What the? Hey, No Limit. Nah, I was in Atlanta. I was actually recording a song. The album was Shake It on.
It feels good. It feels good. Just grateful for this opportunity to get my life back. You know, get to being back that man that I was called to be.
Tell me, what was the experience like making Shake It with Pharrell? Because Pharrell's one of my favorite producers, and your energy combined with his producing skills, what was that experience like?
Like water and electricity together. You're not supposed to put that shit together. It was just, phenomenal. Pharrell is a creative catastrophe. You know what I'm talking about? So, when we combined our energies, it was dope, man. And it was real fun.
The aftermath was pure devastation. Mystikal returned home to a nightmare, finding his sister lifeless, a moment that shattered his world and burned itself into his memory forever. That loss left deep scars. The pain, confusion, and unanswered questions surrounding Michelle's death haunted Mystikal for years, and the weight of it never fully lifted. Music became his escape, his shield, and his therapy. Instead of folding, he poured his anger, grief, and hunger into his sound, turning pain into fuel and using the mic as his survival tool. In the early 1990s, Mystikal signed with Big Boy Records and dropped his debut album, Mystical Madness. While it didn't dominate the charts, it put the industry on notice. His voice was different. His presence felt dangerous, and his hunger was obvious.
Charges are dropped against Louisiana rapper Mystikal. Michael Tyler was originally charged in 2017 for first-degree rape and kidnapping. According to the Caddo DA's office, more evidence was discovered and the case was resubmitted to a second grand jury. That grand jury did not find enough evidence to charge Tyler.
I was recording that album because that's when Juvenile hit. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Lord, Jesus. 400 degrees. You might well sit your ass, you ain't finna fuck with him. Sit down. So that was, and you know, we competitive.
Around this time, tensions also bubbled between Mystikal and rival New Orleans rappers tied to Cash Money Records, adding pressure and competition that pushed him even harder to prove his worth. Everything changed when he linked up with Master P and No Limit Records. Under Master P's guidance, Mystikal's talent exploded, and he quickly became one of the label's standout stars. In 2000, he released Let's Get Ready, a career-defining album that launched him into the mainstream spotlight. The project debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, locking Mystikal in as a certified star. The album showcased his range, blending raspy vocals, high-energy beats, and street-driven storytelling that hit hard. Tracks like Shake Ya Ass and Danger Been So Long took over the airwaves, with Shake Ya Ass becoming a full-blown anthem that clubs, radios, and streets couldn't escape, while Danger Been So Long highlighted Mystikal's sharp lyricism and his ability to seize attention with that explosive.
So I'm like, man, how the can I just, he is killing it. He was just like me. He was something you never heard of. He was fresh, he was new, like, and Shake Your Ass came out my mouth.
She said that he seemed fine when they were initially talking. At some point, he stepped away, maybe to the restroom. He came back a completely different person.
Growling delivery, the success of those records pushed him straight into the mainstream spotlight. The hits earned him massive recognition, loyal fans, and a reputation for high-energy performances that left crowds stunned. On stage, Mystikal wasn't just rapping, he was attacking the mic, and the rap world had no choice but to take notice. For a moment, it looked like Mystikal was unstoppable. His presence was electric, his style raw, and his momentum undeniable. But behind the scenes, dark clouds were already forming, and they would soon crash down in a way no one expected. Unfortunately, Mystikal's career became overshadowed by serious legal troubles that would alter his life and legacy forever.
I stand here very proud of my judicial system, very proud of my fellow survivors, and very pleased with the outcome. 30 years did he do this, and 30 years is what he got.
In 2003, everything changed when he was indicted on charges related to sexual battery and extortion, a moment that marked a sharp and devastating turn in his story. What had once been a tale of triumph quickly became one of controversy and downfall. The case reportedly began after Mystikal accused his hairstylist of stealing $80,000 from him, a claim that placed her at the center of a rapidly escalating situation. What followed shocked fans and the industry alike. Prosecutors alleged that Mystikal, along with two associates, Leland Pokiellis and versus V. Carter, subjected the woman to an ordeal that would later become central to the case. According to court records, the accusations described acts that were deeply disturbing and degrading, with claims that parts of the incident were recorded on video. These allegations sent shockwaves through the music world.
A spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago telling USA Today a federal grand jury has indicted Kelly on 13 counts, including child pornography, enticement of a minor, and obstruction of justice.
What do you think was your worst experience while locked up?
Just being away from my children and missing those beautiful years of my children growing up. When I left, they were 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, something like that, man. 3 and 4 years old, you know. And I remember sitting them down at 3 and 4 years old, trying to have a heart-to-heart, try to explain to them. I said, listen, I remember telling my daughter, I said, Michelle, Daddy might gonna have to leave for a little while. I'll be gone for a while, but I'm coming back. I am coming back, and Daddy love you and miss you. Daddy is coming back, okay? Okay, she probably forgot that shit 10 minutes later, but you know, I did that with my children, man. I remember doing that shit. That shit was tough, man. That was tough.
Instantly shifting public perception and putting Mystikal's future in serious jeopardy. As the legal process unfolded, Mystikal's lawyers and record labels stayed mostly silent, offering little public comment, while his fate hung in the balance. Fans and critics alike were left asking the same question. How did one of rap's biggest stars end up here? Could he fight the charges, or was this the end of everything he built? The severity of the original charges was staggering, including aggravated rape and extortion. However, through a plea agreement, Mystikal ultimately pleaded guilty to reduced charges of sexual battery and extortion. His legal team initially filed a motion to withdraw the plea, but later chose not to pursue it, sealing the outcome of the case. During court proceedings, the evidence presented painted a grim picture. A video related to the incident was shown in court.
FBI forensics experts from Quantico have closely examined the tape. They tell us it's authentic.
First of all, I'm not aware of anything like that, and for people, unknown people, to make those statements against me is ridiculous.
Just like you to know that you really hurt me. I was a little girl in like a bad man's world. I never really recovered from it. I'm really angry with you for what you're doing.
They grabbed me by my hair and started slamming me up against the wall. It's a painful and traumatic experience.
And the judge described the victim as terrorized, emphasizing the seriousness of what had occurred. Mystikal and his associates all pleaded guilty to sexual battery charges, with Mystikal also pleading guilty to extortion. The sentence was heavy. Mystikal received 6 years in prison while his associates were sentenced to 3 and 4 years. He also paid the victim $350,000 in restitution, reportedly borrowing a large portion of that money from his record label. The fallout was massive. Mystikal's music career came to an abrupt stop, his name becoming permanently linked to the case. Once celebrated, he was now avoided, his reputation shattered, and as the final blow, it became clear he would receive no special treatment behind bars. Mystikal's convictions sent shockwaves through the entire music industry, leaving fans and critics questioning who the man behind the music really was. For 6 long years, he lived behind bars, locked in a cell, and forced to face the consequences of actions that permanently stained his legacy.
One night we was arguing, he went and got the gun, and I just made it through the bathroom door and he shot at me and he missed me by that much.
I ain't really had those problems, and when I did, I always nipped it in the bud. I did 6 in the can, but I'm a man. I drunk it like a 6-pack. And that iron all day, yeah, my chest got big, but I didn't get a 6-pack. Man, they know I'm boy, look, man.
The larger-than-life rap star was reduced to an inmate number, and the silence around his name spoke louder than any chart position ever could. In 2010, Mystikal walked free again, seemingly ready for redemption and a second shot at life. With his freedom restored, he talked about growth, change, and rebuilding his career from the ground up. The streets and the industry watched closely, wondering if this comeback would be real or just another chapter waiting to collapse. But just when it looked like he might outrun his past, history came knocking again. In 2017, Mystikal was once more hit with extremely serious allegations, this time involving first-degree rape and second-degree kidnapping. The accusations sent another jolt through the culture, proving that the shadow over his name never truly faded. The arrest happened in Louisiana after a victim identified Mystikal as a suspect in a deeply disturbing incident. He was booked into Ascension Parish Jail, and headlines exploded overnight. The idea that a rapper once celebrated for his energy and raw voice was now back in handcuffs left many fans stunned and conflicted. Investigators traced the case back to a reported incident that took place in 2016 at a Shreveport casino in Louisiana. Warrants were issued for Mystikal, then 46, along with another man, Aveen Holman, who was later arrested in Killeen, Texas. Authorities gathered witness statements and physical evidence, pushing the case forward fast.
On his time in prison, he's also spoken about how he spent it.
You had to do 6 years in prison. Now you're ex-military.
Right.
So you're still a rapper.
True.
Now, we spoke to T.I. T.I. said when he had to do his stint sometimes, people try to check him.
He said he got tried once.
He said he had to fight somebody. You ever
T.I.
got
two different cats.
Right.
Yeah, I ain't,
Nobody ever tried you.
For what?
Right.
Yeah, they wanted to hear a song or something. Most people that were fans, man.
But you got haters in prison too. They like
sometimes people get their stripes from trying to attack.
I don't rock like that. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
And he's ex-military.
That evidence was sent to the North Louisiana Criminalistics Laboratory for DNA analysis. According to investigators, the results linked both Mystikal and Holman to the alleged incident, leading to formal charges of first-degree rape against both men. Each bond was set at a staggering $2 million, signaling just how serious the case had become. While Mystikal turned himself in, U.S. Marshals tracked down and arrested Holman. Then the situation widened even more. In August 2017, a woman identified as Tanisha Wofford was arrested and charged as an accessory after the fact. Authorities claim she tried to persuade the alleged victim to drop the charges, and her bond was also set at $2 million. Later that year, a grand jury added a second-degree kidnapping charge to the case. The move came after both defendants requested lower bail, a move that backfired badly. Mystikal's attorney, Kenneth Beck, told the court his client maintained his innocence and pushed for bail reduction, but the judge went the opposite direction. Instead of mercy, the court raised Mystikal's bail to $3 million.
When you come out of prison, was it hard to readjust back to society again?
Boy, I was in such a culture shock. The best way I can explain that, if you ever seen the movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. When the pimp got out and he had his fucking, his fish tank shoes on, platform shoes, and that's how behind the fashion power curve, behind the culture curve, behind the music, man, I was up. Man, I was lost.
The legal team even requested a change of judge, showing just how tense the situation had become. Nearly a year and a half after surrendering, Mystikal was finally released from Caddo Correctional Center on bond, telling reporters it felt good and that he was grateful. The allegations once again rocked the industry, leaving fans divided and the culture watching closely, unsure if this chapter would end in redemption or complete ruin. As the legal process dragged on, unexpected developments suddenly shifted the narrative. New information surfaced, raising serious questions about the strength of the case and giving Mystikal and his supporters a brief sense of relief. For a moment, it appeared he had narrowly slipped away from the grip of the justice system once again. But that calm wouldn't last long, because by December 2020, another storm was already forming on the horizon. After spending nearly 18 exhausting months behind bars, waiting for trial and fighting to maintain his innocence, a major twist shook the case. Newly uncovered evidence cast doubt on the original allegations, forcing authorities to take a closer look at what had really happened. The Caddo Parish Grand Jury carefully reviewed every detail, witness statement, and piece of evidence before making a decision that stunned many observers. In a surprising move, the grand jury dropped the charges due to a lack of sufficient evidence. Both the first-degree rape and second-degree kidnapping charges were dismissed, marking a massive turning point in Mystikal's long legal battle. After months of uncertainty and isolation, the weight that had followed him for years finally began to loosen its grip. After 18 months locked up, Mystikal was released on bond.
What was that transition like when you came home from doing a 6-year bid?
Culture shock. You know, I was culturally up. The dress, I didn't know how to dress, I didn't know how to talk, I didn't know what the slang was. I was disconnected. I came home looking like the pimp. I'm gonna get you. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I was throwback for real.
Damn. But I mean, who would you say helped you re-assimilate back into like society?
The people, you know, my circle, the people around me, you know. Nobody want to tell me nothing.
The Breakfast Club interview painted an even more vivid picture of just how disoriented Mystikal was upon his release.
Stepping back into the outside world with renewed energy and cautious optimism, the relief was visible, but the scars of confinement were still fresh. Reflecting on that period, he later admitted how deeply the experience changed him, saying, "I was lost. It took me about a year and a half to kind of readjust because I had totally disconnected during that time, revealing just how heavy the emotional toll had been." Just when it seemed like he might finally find stability, more trouble surfaced. In July 2022, Mystikal's legal struggles flared up again when he was arrested in Ascension Parish following a heated dispute at his home. Authorities alleged the situation escalated during an argument over money, pulling him right back into the center of controversy. According to reports, investigators claimed the woman involved was assaulted during the confrontation, and that financial demands were made before she was alled to leave.
You considered an old man out here, man.
For real, man. I came home after doing them little 6 years, little white boy jumped on my head, riding on the skateboard, with iPod listening to Lil Wayne. I'm like, man, what the hell? You know, man, it felt like I, just got out of a time machine or something, man.
So you're officially YMCMB.
And when it came to fashion, the disconnect was painfully real.
But how was it coming home? Were you still financially good?
Yeah, I was cool. I wasn't financially great. I was good. I was able to pay my bills. I think I was just more culturally behind. Oh, my outfits, man. I think my first outfit, I couldn't wait to come on and wear some Iceberg or Coogee or something, whatever was popping. I'm telling y'all what happened, man.
Okay. I'm about to say, I thought you were telling me what you went and bought.
That was what I was imagining, my Pradas, and I was getting in, looking like the pimp on I'm gonna get you sucker,
with fishbowl heels on.
Rap store, looking crazy. Yeah. I shook back though, y'all see I'm fly.
The allegations included claims that she was pressured to send payments and later described physical injuries consistent with an altercation. Mystikal was charged with multiple offenses, including false imprisonment and criminal damage to property valued under $1,000, bringing the total to 5 charges. Ascension Parish Sheriff's deputies stated they interviewed the woman at Baton Rouge General Hospital, where she reportedly arrived with visible bruises, cuts, and torn clothing. According to the warrant, these injuries matched her account of what occurred. She told investigators the conversation had been calm at first, but everything changed as she prepared to leave for Walmart, when Mystikal's demeanor allegedly shifted suddenly. The affidavit further claimed he confronted her over $100 and struck her multiple times during the argument. It was also alleged that he picked up a pair of scissors and made threatening statements that left her fearing she would need medical attention. These claims reignited intense public scrutiny and reopened old wounds tied to Mystikal's past controversies. Once again, fans and critics were left stunned, questioning how someone with such a turbulent history could end up in another explosive situation. As Mystikal remains incarcerated without bail, awaiting trial. His name continues to circulate alongside discussions about accountability, power, and repeated patterns in the industry.
And actually, Cash Money and No Limit back in the day were like, did not like each other at all.
Kind of like. Well, I was beef when before that, because when I was a solo artist, up and coming on a local label, we were kind of like had a little beef thing going on.
That's crazy. So was it weird to you that they would come to you?
Yeah, how did that happen?
It was all love. It was all love. Yeah, we was in communication for a while. Since I was on No Limit, Baby was, calling me saying, "What's up? What you want to do?"
Wow.
And there's no way that Baby or Wayne could be in New Orleans and not grow up and be a fan of Mystikal.
True.
It's impossible.
True, and vice versa.
The world is watching closely. Will Mystikal finally clear his name and rebuild what remains of his life? Or will this chapter end the same way as others before it? As history shows, Mystikal is not the only artist whose career has been shaken by allegations like these, but his story remains one of the most troubling and closely followed. One of the biggest names the music industry ever produced, R. Kelly, ultimately lost everything after facing charges rooted in sexual abuse and exploitation. A man who once seemed untouchable, protected by fame, money, and power, ended up watching his empire collapse piece by piece. His fall became one of the most shocking cautionary tales the industry has ever seen. Back in the late 1980s, a gifted young artist from Chicago, Illinois, began making noise. Born Robert Sylvester Kelly, he would soon be known worldwide as R. Kelly. With smooth vocals, magnetic charisma, and a natural gift for creating hits, he quickly dominated radio, stages, and charts. His performances were electric, and millions were locked in by his sound and confidence. Kelly's rise felt unstoppable. Songs poured out one after another, and his music crossed generations. One of his most iconic tracks, I Believe I Can Fly, became a global anthem of hope and inspiration. The song skyrocketed to the top of the charts and earned him multiple awards, including 3 Grammy wins, cementing his status as a musical powerhouse. With success came wealth, fame, and influence. From the outside, it looked like R. Kelly had everything anyone could dream of. But behind closed doors, disturbing allegations were quietly piling up, slowly cracking the image he worked so hard to build. In the early 2000s, the first major blow landed. Video surfaced that authorities claimed showed Kelly engaging in inappropriate acts involving an underage individual. The footage sent shockwaves through the industry and led to his arrest on serious charges related to child exploitation. In 2008, R. Kelly was acquitted after a jury failed to reach a unanimous verdict. The decision sparked outrage and disbelief, leaving many questioning whether justice had truly been served. Even with the acquittal, the controversy never left his name. Over the years, more women came forward, sharing deeply troubling stories of manipulation, control, and abuse. The accusations painted a grim picture of power being used in the worst way. Some alleged that young women were isolated and controlled, claims that further intensified public concern and scrutiny. In 2019, the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly aired, giving survivors a platform and forcing the world to confront allegations that had been ignored for decades. The series reignited outrage, shattered what remained of his public image, and pushed law enforcement to act again. By 2021, R. Kelly faced a federal trial on charges including racketeering, sexual exploitation, and kidnapping. The courtroom testimony was intense, emotional, and overwhelming. After weeks of witnesses and evidence, The jury found him guilty on all counts, and it didn't stop there. In 2022, Kelly faced a second federal trial, this time focused on additional child sexual abuse charges, pushing his downfall even further. His story became a harsh reminder that fame can shield someone for only so long before the truth finally catches up. The evidence presented in court was overwhelming, and once again, R. Kelly was found guilty, sealing his fate in a case that shook the music world to its core. The verdict sent shockwaves far beyond the industry, forcing fans, insiders, and critics to confront the reality of how deep the damage truly ran. The fallout didn't stop with Kelly alone, and the ripple effects quickly spread to those closest to him. In the aftermath of his convictions, Kelly's former manager, Donald Russell, was sentenced to prison for stalking and harassing one of the singer's accusers. It was a chilling reminder that Kelly's actions created a chain reaction of harm, pulling others into the storm and exposing a wider pattern of intimidation and control that couldn't stay hidden anymore. By January 2023, a few charges against Kelly were dropped, but it offered little relief in the face of his massive legal collapse. Any hint of victory was short-lived, because just 1 month later, in February 2023, he was handed an additional 20-year prison sentence related to child sex crimes. That ruling made it clear he would likely spend the rest of his life behind bars, ending any remaining hope of redemption. The rise and fall of R. Kelly, much like Mystikal's story, now stands as a warning etched into music history. It exposed how fame, money, and influence can delay accountability, but not erase it. The industry has been forced to confront uncomfortable truths as public pressure grows and silence is no longer accepted as protection. Today, the message is louder than ever. No matter how powerful or successful someone appears, no one is above the law. That reality became even clearer when Sean Diddy Combs, one of hip-hop's most influential moguls, was suddenly hit with multiple lawsuits alleging sexual assault and other serious misconduct. Cassie Diddy's former girlfriend publicly shared her own experiences, describing alleged abuse that stunned fans and insiders alike. In response, Combs and his representatives strongly denied the claims, calling them baseless and insisting he has always treated people with respect and dignity. They argued the accusations were a calculated attempt to damage his legacy. I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support, Combs stated, while maintaining his denial of any wrongdoing. His legal team emphasized that settling a lawsuit does not equal an admission of guilt, especially in today's legal climate. Just so we're clear, a decision to settle a lawsuit, especially in 2023, is in no way an admission of wrongdoing, his representatives added, stressing that Combs stood firmly by his denial and wished Ms. Ventura well following the mutual agreement. But the controversy didn't end there. In 2023, Joy Dickerson-Neal came forward with disturbing allegations under the Adult Survivors Act, claiming she was attacked by Combs in 1991 and subjected to drugging, sexual assault, and revenge-related actions. These claims reignited public outrage and intensified scrutiny. Combs' representatives dismissed those allegations as made up and not credible, fueling even more skepticism. Soon after, Diddy took to social media himself, stating, "Enough is enough." Yes. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things alleged. I'll fight for my name, my family, and the truth. Those words echoed loudly as Sean Diddy Combs publicly pushed back against the growing wave of accusations surrounding his name. His denial came as the pressure intensified, and the spotlight only grew harsher by the day. Joy Dickerson-Neal's allegations surfaced just days after another lawsuit was filed by an unnamed woman referred to as Jane Doe, who made similar claims involving both P. Diddy and singer Aaron Hall. According to the lawsuit, the alleged incident dates back to 1990 or 1991, adding yet another layer of controversy to an already explosive situation. Jane Doe claimed that she and a friend were subjected to a terrifying ordeal, alleging they were drugged, overpowered, and assaulted. The lawsuit stated that one of the men allegedly approached her at a lounge in Michigan, convincing her to board a private jet under the promise of visiting a recording studio in New York City. What was presented as opportunity allegedly turned into something far darker. Once in New York, the lawsuit claimed the environment quickly changed. According to the filing, excessive alcohol and substances were allegedly introduced, creating a situation where the women were left vulnerable and unable to protect themselves. These claims painted a disturbing picture of power, influence, and alleged exploitation at the highest levels of the industry. Diddy's legal team responded forcefully, filing motions and denying all allegations outright. They dismissed the claims as fabricated and insisted that the lawsuits were attempts to capitalize on his fame. Still, the accusations expanded beyond assault, with claims suggesting involvement in a broader exploitation scheme using status and industry connections. As the legal battle continues, Diddy now faces multiple accusations that threaten not only his reputation, but the foundations of his business empire. Investigations and court proceedings will ultimately decide the truth, but the implications already reach far beyond one man, sending tremors through the entire entertainment industry. The lawsuits involving Mystikal, R. Kelly, and now P. Diddy have forced uncomfortable conversations back into the spotlight. While each man has denied wrongdoing, the repeated emergence of such cases highlights how deeply rooted these issues remain within music culture. But not every figure responded with outright denial. Hip-hop mogul Dr. Dre took a different path, issuing a public apology to women he admitted hurting in the past. His statement came after decades of allegations involving mistreatment and domestic violence that had long followed his career. Dr. Dre has been praised worldwide for his musical genius and business success. Yet behind the accolades, troubling accusations lingered. His ex-wife, Nicole Young, alleged that during their marriage he threatened her with a firearm on 2 separate occasions in 2000 and 2001, claims that shocked many fans. Dr. Dre firmly denied ever threatening Nicole's safety and disputed her version of events. Still, their bitter divorce battle dragged these accusations back into public view. Nicole Young's request for $100,000 per month in spousal support sparked heated debate, with some questioning her intentions while others acknowledged the financial realities tied to leaving a damaging relationship. These stories continue to collide, raising difficult questions about power, accountability, and silence in hip-hop. As the culture watches closely, the line between legend and liability has never felt thinner. This moment became a chilling warning sign of even darker stories that would surface years later. New allegations against Dr. Dre reignited public outrage when hip-hop journalist Barnes accused him of physically assaulting her in the early 1990s. Barnes, widely known for her role on the popular music show Pump It Up, described an incident at a party where she claimed Dre attacked her, leaving her with visible injuries and long-lasting emotional trauma that followed her for years. And Barnes wasn't alone. R&B singer Michaela, who was romantically involved with Dr. Dre at the time, later spoke publicly about the emotional and physical abuse she said she endured during their relationship. Her claims added another layer to the growing pattern, painting a troubling picture that stood in sharp contrast to Dre's polished public image. These allegations cast a heavy shadow over Dr. Dre. As legendary status and reopened uncomfortable conversations about how women have been treated behind the scenes in the music industry, fans were forced to wrestle with the idea that groundbreaking art and harmful behavior can exist side by side, and that influence does not erase accountability. After years of silence, Dr. Dre finally addressed the accusations head-on. In a public apology shared on social media, he acknowledged his past behavior and expressed remorse for the pain he caused. The statement landed hard, not just because of who he is, but because of how rare public accountability had been at that level. In his apology, Dre stated, "25 years ago, I was a young man drinking too much and in over my head, with no real structure in my life. However, none of this is an excuse for what I did." He went on to explain that he had been married for 19 years and was committed to being a better man, saying he works daily to ensure he never becomes that version of himself again. "I apologize to the women I've hurt," he continued. "I deeply regret what I did and know that it has forever impacted all of our lives." Those words reignited discussions around growth, responsibility, and whether apologies can ever fully repair the damage left behind. From Mystikal to R. Kelly to Dr. Dre and beyond, these stories expose a painful truth about power, silence, and accountability in hip-hop culture. Fame can amplify success, but it can also magnify harm when wrongdoing goes unchecked. As the industry evolves and the spotlight grows harsher, one message remains clear. Legends are not immune, and the past always has a way of resurfacing. If you want to keep digging into the stories the industry doesn't want forgotten, click one of the videos on your screen now and stay locked in.